Hey guys, John here. How you doing today? What's shaking, bacon? um, yeah, wanted to say that. Okay, so a couple days later on this, they released a new Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM. The name of the movie is Spin. So let's spin around and talk about it. Okay, so this is a movie about a Hindi girl named Rhea, Rhea, uh, who basically becomes a DJ. She's a very kind of smart, studious, hardworking girl. She works at her father's, restaurant that he owns and runs. She's got a little brother, and she's got three friends. We'll talk about in a minute. But she like knows all about like coding and things like that. Um, yeah, she's very hard worker. Doesn't really have a lot of time for fun. One day she meets a guy named Max, I believe was his name, either Matt or Max, who is a kid who recently transferred to their school. He's from the UK. He's British. UK, Britain, one of those places. All the same thing, really. If you think about it. And basically he's a DJ, and she basically gets involved with helping him create kind of a mix, a track and stuff for a DJ contest. And basically kind of using her knowledge of like coding and computer things and mixing music. One thing she does at her dad's restaurant is like she creates like mixes of music to play, over the loudspeakers of the restaurant. So that's how she gets involved. And there's some conflicts, things go wrong, and I won't get into the spoilers. But it was a pretty decent movie, I gotta say. I wasn't really sure what to expect of it, and it was fine. I think it kept my attention for a good chunk of it, like at least a somewhat majority. There were parts that I got a little bored, but for the most part, I was entertained. I was, interested. It kept my attention. It kept my attention. I cared about the characters and stuff. Um, yeah, you got this girl Rhea who, like I said, we have her father who is kind of a strict guy. He doesn't totally like. At one point, like I thought maybe they were gonna do that whole kind of like Middle Eastern father stereotype. They're like very strict, kind of like very conservative, like very kind of like old fashioned, all about school, 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 work, work, work. And it's not really that. I don't think it has like elements of some of that, but it's kind of just more about like he wants her to work, but it's not like a lot of times the focus will be on kind of things like academics, and with him it's not so much about the academics. It's not like the main thing. A lot of it is just about helping him at his restaurant, which he takes very seriously, is very passionate about, and wants her to be very much involved at the point where he works her too hard. One interesting thing, so this girl Rhea, she lives with her father and her grandmother, who is the mother-in-law of her father. Rhea's mom passed away when she was young, which is, a story point, and I think that's, important to the character. But Rhea's grandmother, she ends up kind of convincing her, the dad, to kind of try to be a little easy on her and not push her so hard. And there's this one interesting scene that's actually pretty early in the movie, surprisingly enough, where he kind of goes to her and like, if I'm pushing you hard, if you don't want to work at the restaurant at all, if you don't want to work as much at least, we can lay off, we can, kind of let back. Which I think was kind of an interesting way it takes to just kind of story and character. And she goes and she's like, no, I'm okay, I can do it. Which, like she agrees to keep doing it the same way she's been doing it, keep working at the restaurant, keep working really hard. Which is like, you can argue is like, it's kind of probably just has to do with the way that she raised her whole life, that she kind of has to act a certain way. But the fact that he tried and gave her the opportunity already makes him, I'd say, a lot more nuanced than a lot of other characters I've seen like him. So that's one interesting thing. Rhea and her family are Hindu. They practice the religion, Hinduism, which is interesting in the sense that it's definitely not something you see represented a lot in media and TV. Definitely, I can't think of any other times I've seen it like represented in kids media. There's probably been a couple things, but like I can't think of any right now. By the way, this is interesting fact with this is that it was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus original movie, but for some reason it ended up becoming a Disney Channel original movie, which I can see because it doesn't feel a lot like a Disney Channel original movie in the sense that like it doesn't have um, any actors from like Disney Channel sitcoms or anything. Usually have at least one or two, if not in a smaller role. This doesn't have any. It doesn't really feel like something made for Disney Channel. It's not as kind of silly and childlike. It feels a little more mature. Like it could have been something that was like a family program or made even for like young adults. Um, Deals with some more serious issues, but yeah, having kind of the concept of Hinduism in there and being a part of the character's life, it's definitely a different thing, and it's interesting to see that kind of different representation. It's cool and all. Um, Another thing that's different about it is it's like a movie about being a DJ, which is it almost kind of works like a concept that's almost like a little similar to like a sports movie or something, or like a serious hobby type film. And DJing is definitely not a concept I've seen done in a movie before. And it's the kind of thing that I can watch and I can kind of take seriously. It actually kind of gave me, because like I don't know a lot about DJing. I don't think a lot of people necessarily do. Like you might like an oversimplify a concept of it would just be kind of like they just kind of play records, they play CDs, they play, from their iPod or their phone or whatever. But this kind of shows that there's a certain level of art, effort that has to be put with. So it kind of gave me more an appreciation for that. So that's an interesting thing, it's a cool thing. It can get you interested in that while still kind of having a story that has a certain level of like, like you don't have to be like someone who knows or cares about DJ to enjoy the story. Um, there's a couple other things. So the main character, she has Maria. She has three best friends. First, there's one guy, another girl who's kind of nerdy. One of the more interesting characters is a character named Ginger, who is played by an actress who I've also seen, who has a recurring role on the Netflix original series, which I've talked about before, called Alexa and Katie. And on that show, she actually kind of plays a character who is a little similar. On Alexa and Katie, the actress plays a character who's kind of like a popular girl who's kind of part of the main character's friend group, just kind of being friends with other people. And she doesn't, get along with the main character as well. Here, she's someone who you would not think would be in the same friend group as this girl who's kind of like, yeah, not so much that she is nerdy, but some of her friends are kind of nerdy, and she's not like extremely popular. She's kind of more like the out group kind of, social scene. She's quiet and not, she doesn't have a lot of time for friends, for one thing, with all the work she does. And this character named Ginger, she seems like the kind of person who would be a popular girl kind of at school. She's sort of like, she's actually a somewhat popular like social media influencer on like Instagram or TikTok or a site similar. But then just like, at first, like, we see the character and I'm thinking, oh, she must be like the mean popular girl, but then it's like, oh, they're friends. And one weird thing about the movie is there was this one point when I was like certain, like almost certain, that they were going to go in a direction that she was going to be becoming mean and betraying them. Like, there's this one line where they seemed like they were hinting at it, like, that talk about the certain skills this character has for like setting things up and getting people like interested in something. And one of Rhea's friends is like, good thing she's on our side. And I could have sworn that was like a foreshadowing, like almost like a very non-subtle foreshadowing of like she's going to turn against them and not be on their side. And there's a couple points where I think they're going in that direction, and they don't. Part of me almost wonders if like maybe they originally intended something like that, but ended up scrapping it because it didn't work. Yeah, the movie and story is definitely, for a lot of it, something I wouldn't necessarily call particularly cliched. Not to the point where it like makes the movie hard to sit there, where it's like, oh, I've seen this before, I know where every single thing is going to go. There are some points like towards the end where it definitely gets certain kind of predictability and kind of what's going to happen. It's somewhat standard ending once you kind of know once all the major kind of plot points and situations get set up. But for a lot of it, I was like, all right, I don't necessarily know where they're going with this. There was one part that I definitely didn't expect. Something involving her love interest character, the guy named, I don't know if I mentioned he's a love interest, the guy Max, either Matt or Max, like I said, who is the guy she's helping with his DJing, and like I said, along the way she gets interested in the topic of DJing. And yeah, but there's something that happens with his character that I didn't expect, and I thought it worked pretty well. It's kind of emotional. It's The movie is probably more of a drama than a comedy. It has some comedy, but I would definitely say more of a drama, and it's not like super heavy. There's some darker things dealing with her mom who had died when she was a kid, but I definitely never get to the point where it's too difficult to watch or anything. It's not something I would necessarily recommend for like really younger kids, but like maybe like 8 and up. I think they, kids would enjoy it. Girls, if you have kids, I think it's something they might enjoy. Could introduce them to some new interesting ideas and stuff. Um, yeah, like I said, there's definitely gets predictable towards the end, but for a lot of it, I think it's kind of actually engaging. I think a lot of it kind of works, and you can, I don't know, there's things to enjoy. Not a perfect movie, but I had a pretty good time with it. Let's see, there's something else I want to say, but like I said, I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, but yeah, the characters are pretty well written, story's pretty well written, the acting's fine, kind of a nice looking movie. It's different. I can't say it's like one of my favorite DComs of all time, but I would say it's definitely one of the maybe better ones of the last decade, honestly. Like, yeah, it's a decent movie. Yeah. Let's see. I kind of would have liked to see some of the friend characters get a little more development. You don't really know a ton about them. Some of them feel a little basic and stock, and there definitely are certain story elements that are stock. Like this girl who gets so she ends up getting like Rhea basically ends up getting so involved with like school and her job, working for her dad and the clubs at school, and helping this guy with his DJ, and then she like neglects her friends. And, it's some of it's definitely basic and been there, done that, but overall, mostly works. Yeah, I'd give it a mild recommendation. If it sounds like something you might enjoy, feel free to check it on the Disney Channel. Apparently, it got really bad ratings, which might be pandemic or stuff related. I don't know, maybe just people aren't interested. They're not necessarily interested in, um, like watching stuff. They didn't advertise it a lot. Similar with the last one they had like a year or so ago, Upside Down Magic, which I liked more, which was also a good movie. I liked it more than this one, but this one's pretty solid too. So yeah, it hasn't gotten too much viewership so far apparently. So I'd say check it out. I think you could have a decent time. All right, that's all I got to say. Thanks for watching, and see you later.